This is the Financial Survival Network. Now more than ever. The Financial Survival Network.
And welcome. You are listening to and hopefully even watching the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. Hey, you know, I've had COVID. I was out for a couple of weeks, but now we're making up for lost time. That's a promise that I will keep. We've been interviewing everybody out there, and hey, it's been a great experience. Learned a lot from it. I think you could learn a lot from my experience as well without a lot of the negatives. We like to check up on people who we've been friends with for going on a decade now, one of whom is Elijah K. Johnson. Elijah was 16 years old when I watched a video of his on YouTube about the Federal Reserve. I said, this is a person to keep your eye on. He is really got some insight here into the actual monetary system. And I think at the time, Elijah, my headline was, this 16-year-old knows more than Benjamin Bernanke, which is a name from the past, who's probably now enjoying his cushy retirement in a villa on the Mediterranean, someplace in Europe, going to parties and celebrating the demise of Western civilization. It's great to have you back on, Elijah. You're working with Miles Franklin now. And what's your take on what's happening around us in the world today?
Well, thanks for having me, Kerry. And yeah, so glad you're doing better. Praying for you, obviously, in your recovery and everything, but so glad you're feeling better. What's happening in the world today? Well, I have to say it's kind of a sad sight in a lot of respect. A couple of days ago, I spent about half the day watching the news with the Capitol break-in and everything. So that was a sad sight to see that's where America has come to. But I think hopefully on the bright side, I hope this is kind of a wake-up call for people that we really need to come together and just really come together at this time. But with respect to how this is going to impact everything, I mean, we've seen in 2020 how, there was social unrest and all of that. And we saw precious metals have one of the best years yet, like gold 25% up. So I guess this is just, again, a wake-up call for people of like, maybe it would be a good thing to have a little bit of your finances in something that's been around for 6,000 years and has never fallen to zero. I mean, there are things out there where you can, speculate, maybe get rich on Bitcoin, but then again, those things could go to zero as well. And gold has never failed in the last 6,000 years. So that's where I want to be. I can't give financial advice, but I mean, in these times, I think it's prudent to have, at least some of your assets in something that has that kind of history.
I couldn't agree with you more. We've both been big proponents of having the ultimate metallic insurance policy, if you will. And look, we've both been kind of at the forefront of this. Gold, silver did nothing for 7-8 years, basically, went sideways, consolidation. And now all of a sudden they've been rediscovered. So I find that, I don't know, encouraging, but certainly hopeful that this can be a way for people to protect yourselves and to have that policy. Not saying put every dollar in. On the other hand, the screw ups and the what's happening with the global financial system could be setting up opportunities if you have a little more risk tolerance to really make generational wealth. I said to my colleague, Bill Powers, when COVID hit, I said, Bill, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. I'm not happy with the way the government's handling it. The science, everything else, I think is a mess. And hey, I hope we don't get it. I eventually did, but I survived it. My point is that because it totally shattered the underlying system, COVID, and really put a lot of stress on it, that it created opportunities that unfortunately most of you out there will be afraid to take advantage of or will fail to recognize. Do you see these opportunities out there, Elijah?
Well, definitely. I mean, I think one of the things that you pointed to is really that we've seen in the last decade or so, really gold and silver go very much sideways. But the thing is that, as you know, Andy Schectman, our president, often says at Miles Franklin, is that in these times, you want return of your wealth, not return on your wealth necessarily. But as you mentioned, there are those opportunities there. There is the possibility that while gold doesn't produce wealth, it sits there. It's going to be an ounce of gold 1,000 years from now. But the thing is, in specific times like these, specific times when there's a lot of uncertainty, gold can actually increase in value. So it's kind of an interesting situation where the asset that is wealth itself, right, can actually be the best place to put your investment money, you could say. But then again, it's not necessarily an investment, but it can increase in value, which is really interesting. And I would say that this is definitely possibly one of those times where we can actually see an increase in value amid these uncertain times.
I'm inclined to agree. I think there's tremendous opportunities out there, not for everyone. And if you're really pressed financially, and you've got to, you got to feed the family first. You got to load the refrigerator and the freezer up with food. That's the most important thing, because you got to survive, but you have to be ready. You know, Elijah, one of the things that impressed me most about you is you actually got a journalism degree. You went to school. You really acted as if journalism is a real profession, an honored, revered profession. And the concept of investing in yourself. How do you think the average person should be improving their human capital skills at this particular point in time?
Definitely. And I apologize if you can hear, I have a neighbor who has an amazing antique car and he's just revving it up right now. But anyways, so to your question, yeah, really investing in yourself. I think with respect to journalism, it really has helped me to really cut through the weeds of realize, okay, let's not be persuaded by necessarily the slant that people are putting these stories out in the mainstream media, or even in the independent media as well. You know, there can be misleading stories. There can be misleading stories everywhere. And really just look at the heart of the matter, what is happening. So I think that's one of the things that, and also with reporting, I want to get to what is happening, right? And I want to provide the sources if there's a controversial claim, if there's something like gold and silver manipulation, right? Are banks manipulating precious metal prices? I want to get to the heart of that. Is it true? So I want to have all these different perspectives on the show. So really, I think it has helped me. And I think, yeah, investing in yourself is one of the things that's really important to do nowadays. I remember David Morgan, I had him on the show a couple months ago, and he was saying that really in these times, the most important thing you can do is to have a prepared mindset. And that mindset is going to get you through this, whatever happens in the future. So I think that is one of the most important things right now.
That's pretty profound, because what it's saying effectively, if I can paraphrase it, is that it's not so much what happens to you, but how prepared you are for it and how you're going to deal with it. It really is a question of mindset, like you say, mind preparedness, more so than what the actual events that actually unfold, whether it's the election, regardless what it might be about, it's the mindset. And I think that's profound. And I think it's something that you might tend to lose sight of. I know that I do. So I think that really is a very important point that David raises.
Definitely. And I think this brings me back to kind of the most important thing in my life, my faith, and how I believe that really we're put on this earth for a reason, right? And the truth is, one of the things that I kind of like to ask people sometimes is, if you could have the best life you could possibly have, what would it be? What would it look like? But the truth is that God has put us in this specific spot we're in right now, and all the circumstances, and all we have to do is to be faithful, and we'll have the best life. So even if there are things that happen to us, even if there are things around us that we don't necessarily like, that seem like it would be so much better a different way. If we're remaining faithful, we're living the best life we can. So I think that kind of gets back to the mindset issue of don't necessarily like complain about the external circumstances. If it's something you can't control, then it's something you can't control. If it's something you can change, then change it. But the most important thing is to realize that you're on this earth for a reason, right here and right now.
Yeah. And living your own best, highest existence, your best self. It's a cliche at this point, but I saw one of those little bumper sticker things the other day, Elijah. It said, happiness is the new wealth. Because one thing I could tell you, you could be wealthy and be completely miserable. I will say that if you're broke, it's real hard to be happy as well, because if you're barely sustaining your physical existence, that's tough. But most of us aren't in either of those positions. Most of us are someplace in the middle where our physical needs are mostly satisfied, our desires, etc. And really, it's our own mindset, again, our own attitude towards ourselves and life that kind of bring us where we need to be if we allow ourselves. Abraham Lincoln said it best. He said, people are generally as happy as they allow themselves to be. And I don't think anything's changed there. So let's all pray for better times ahead, and that man's hearts will open up to reason and to guidance from those who know better than us, from our higher selves, and that better times are ahead. They will be eventually, and just don't lose hope. It's really all I can say.
Definitely. Yeah. Like when we're seeing these things happening in our country, like the first time since 1814 that the Capitol has been broken into, right? It's definitely saddening, but at the same time, let's ask ourselves, what can we do about it? Like, can we reach out and ask maybe to our friends and build that relationship there, build a community there, instead of, trying to change what we can't control. So.
Exactly. Stop worrying about what you can't control. You can't control the weather. You can't control what's in others' hearts. You can only control what's in your own heart and in your own mind. And even then it's difficult, let's face it. But certainly all of us out there can do better. Hey, Elijah, we want to connect with you. How do we find you over at Miles Franklin?
Right. So our YouTube channel is the main place that I've been posting. It's youtube.com/Miles Franklin Co, Miles Franklin CO. And Twitter's the same, Miles Franklin CO. Facebook, the same, Miles Franklin CO. And then also we're on Spotify and SoundCloud. So you can also hear our interviews there. And then also we have a show coming up, and it'll be great to have you on there, Kerry. It's another Mugs and Medals, where we just get a lot of the reporters from the metals space on one Zoom call together, have a drink, and just chat about the metals markets and the economy. The last two have been fantastic. It's been a lot of fun. This will be posted next Friday, so a week from today at 9 p.m. Eastern. And I invite anybody who would like to bring their favorite drink and just have a great time with us on Zoom.
Hey, I really appreciate you having me back on. That was some great beer that you sent me. And that was definitely a lot of fun, and I look forward to doing it again. Any questions, comments, email us, kl@kerrylutz.com. The Twitter feed's @KerryLutz, Facebook page, Financial Survival Network. Make sure you sign up for your newsletter, financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Elijah, thanks so much for the honor of coming on the show again. I've been following your career now for a decade. I'm expecting really amazing things out of you, and we will talk again real soon.
Thanks so much, Kerry, for having me on. God bless.
This is the Financial Survival Network. Now more than ever. The Financial Survival Network.